Okay. So
Yeah, you're the host. And it's recording.
is there a camera that's pointing, I'm assuming, from right here? So will it follow me if I step up here? Okay.
Yeah, this will, the one that's like on us. will
Okay.
Follow you wherever you step. And if you wanna go ahead and share your screen for any
Maybe
presentation.
that's Steve Jobs impression.
Right.
Strut around the stage.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sure that it pops up on here too.
Okay. It says that okay, here we go.
That's
Okay. All right, so I turn this one off and then step up here.
yeah.
Probably the best way to do it. Okay.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
then you can start this expression. Continue.
All right. Got it. We got all the technicalities worked out. I think we're good to go. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. My name is Kellen Love. Everybody can hear me okay online? Thumbs up. Okay. I'm gonna give away some Amazon gift cards. Might be a little bit tougher for the folks online. We'll try to figure something out. If you have a business card, you want to drop it in here, I'll kind of pass it around. We'll do that at the end of the meeting. If you don't, you can write your name on a piece of paper too, try to make it card size. We'll get you taken care of. All right, well, thank you for joining us this morning, and we're really excited to be here. This is day 2 of the homes.com John L. Scott Awareness Week. Thank you, Eric, for organizing, McKenna, is that get right? McKenna as well, and Tyler for putting this together. We know that some of you, all of you may have already had some exposure to homes.com. Today, we're really focusing on the education side of homes.com, not a sales pitch. We will talk a little bit about the product at the end of the presentation, but this is going to be 80% kind of education versus, actually trying to sell a product or diving deep into the product. We're going to go over it very, very high level. So as we roll through homes.com today, a couple things that definitely keep in mind. We designed homes.com to be a much more consumer-friendly product or portal. And with that, we move away from kind of what traditionally search portals have done and monetizing and making money. We still have products, we'll have more products in the future, but there are a ton of free features and tools that you can use in your day-to-day. And if we take a look kind of where the industry has been and kind of where we're going in terms of these search portals, I want everyone to focus on how you can leverage this in your day-to-day, whether it's one thing that you see, it's multiple things, and think about your clients and kind of what they'll be doing on homes.com and how that can be valuable to you, or how you can get more exposure for yourself or grow your brand. So with that, let's jump in. Make sure this thing is on. Did I do it right this morning? Let's see now. Come on. There we go. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about the CoStar Group and kind of homes.com and our journey and why it's important to you as real estate professionals. We'll also talk a little bit about the unique content and features that we offer on homes.com. And then we'll move in and kind of round off with high level going over the membership. We're going to start and take a look at the consumer facing view after we talk a little bit about CoStar, and then we'll switch to the agent facing side. Back end dashboard, we'll talk about your profile, some unique individual changes that you can make to that to stand out a little bit more from the crowd. And we'll kind of hit on each thing as we move through. So what we know and understand, everybody goes online. We live in the digital age, right? The information age. And when it comes to the real estate industry, roughly 100% of everybody that's buying a home goes online and they look for properties, right? With roughly 50%, kind of give or take, of those folks actually finding their property online. So being a real estate professional is extremely important for you to leverage that where you can leverage that. People interact with your business, your brand, whether it's your listings, finding you as they're looking for an agent with experience in a certain area. And homes.com really kind of takes that to the next level and giving consumers access to the best information possible and creating unique content and tools that both professionals and consumers can use. So we want to kind of plug you in and where do you fit in that equation, knowing that everybody that buys a home and typically sells a home ends up online. What does that mean for you and how can you get a part of that? And we look at where we've been. I've been in residential real estate marketing for about 10 years. So as I came in, you know, the big Z was on the rise and everybody kind of took that model of if you want to leverage the power of these millions or hundreds of millions of visits that we get to our site every month and people identifying, hey, I'm interested in buying a home or hey, I'm interested in learning more about this property. You have to pay them, right? That's how they've monetized their portals. We take the listings from agents, they syndicate them out, it creates consumer interest, they take that consumer interest and they leverage it in order to generate revenue. And if you think about it, they don't exist, we don't exist as portals without all of you. All we're doing is taking the listings and maybe we're making it in a more consumable fashion. Some MLSs, you go to the East Coast, they look like they were built in the Stone Age, right? So these portals can be of great value to real estate professionals, but even more for consumers. And essentially what they've done in so many words is, you know, you plant your sign in the yard when you get a listing and they come and cross your name off or kind of push you to the side or the back of the pack and write their name on it and take the interest from consumers to make money. Very simply, we feel that is a bad model for everyone involved. And instead, what we do is focus on your listing, your lead. So when you have a listing, we are connecting you with anybody that indicates that they have interest or they want to learn more about that property. You're not paying anything to be seen there. You're not paying any free fees up front. You're not paying any fees on the back end. And this is really the mantra, not only for homes.com, but it's across all of the CoStar portals, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But also on the flip side, when you're working with a buyer, just like you work hard to get listings, you work hard to establish that relationship. And we want to protect that relationship. And we want to make sure that if you've identified you're working with someone, we want to allow you to maximize that relationship on homes.com. So when we look at your listing, your lead model kind of live versus some of the competitors, you're looking at a home for sale. You're going to see the listing agent front and center on that listing. They're going to follow you down the page. We'll take a look at that live. And we feel that's a better model, not only for you as an agent when you do get a listing, right? To be able to be showcased exclusively on your listing. No one can pay to advertise there, but it's better for the people who you're selling the home for. Because if somebody does have interest or they say, hey, I want to learn more about this, you should be the ones that are talking to them, right? You should be the ones that are giving them the best information possible, whether it's an individual looking to buy or you're speaking with their agent. And then, excuse me, obviously on the flip side of that is the buyer. If they have questions or they want more information, they should know where to go, especially outside of their actual agent. So we are a part of the CoStar group. Anybody familiar with CoStar kind of prior to this? I know online, maybe a hand or two. If you're not, that's okay, because CoStar purchased homes.com a little over 3 years ago, and I've been with homes.com for roughly 5 years. I had no idea who they were when they bought us either. But CoStar has really led the charge in the commercial industry. We really established ourselves in the commercial industry. If you're not familiar, there's no MLS in commercial real estate. It's kind of like the wild, wild west. All the data and information on, you know, listings or buildings that are for sale, for lease, whatever it may be. There's nobody controlling that data. There's no central body. There's CoStar. So we're the largest real estate data company in the world. And we take that data and we create systems and tools that both professionals and consumers can use on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of information on this slide. This is my least favorite slide ever. But the biggest thing to take away here, we are a publicly traded S&P 500, NASDAQ 100 company, Forbes 500, all those great accolades. We have a lot of resources to make the goal of becoming the number one place that people find a home online a reality. We've already made massive leaps that we'll talk about here in a moment. But the most important thing to take from this slide is we innovate and we invest heavily in building number one portals. And that's important because as people discover homes.com, whether they see a commercial, they hear about it from a friend or family member, they find it through a web search, there are opportunities for your brand and your business to be seen. And what all of our number one portals that we operate, and there's a few more you may recognize, apartments.com and multifamily, LoopNet and commercial, 10X is our auction platform, Lands of America, which is now land.com. We own and operate 6 number one portals, and what they all have in common is the revenue that we generate for our clients. We've generated over $1 trillion in revenue for our clients. We're now taking this model that we've done time and time again. When you look at apartments, you look at LoopNet, you look at Lands of America, all being number one in their respected spaces of real estate, they all kind of started in the same spot as homes.com. They were acquired by CoStar. CoStar innovated, built something that was unique for consumers and professionals to use. And they grew these portals into number one in their respected space. We're now just doing this with residential, and we want all of you to be able to take advantage of that as much as possible. This is not something that, is necessarily in the works. We've grown tremendously with nearly 150 million unique visitors per month to the homes.com network. That includes apartments.com. About 110 million of those are strictly on homes.com. So we've already surpassed Redfin, Realtor.com in terms of traffic a while back, and we continue to grow as we approach Zillow. And if you know anything about CoStar and our CEO, we have a very highly competitive, very well publicized CEO. And we are 100% invested in making this a reality, not just through advertising and marketing, but doing marketplace research. We constantly hold focus groups with professionals like all of you and consumers to take a look at what professionals need today and what they're going to need in the future, and evolve homes.com into something that's truly special. So a lot of our traffic growth is really connected to the marketing that we've rolled out. Anybody seeing any of the commercials at any point or any of the advertisements? See a couple heads nodding a little bit. So we're spending $1 billion in marketing this year, the largest real estate marketing campaign in history. We're planning to reach 90% of households annually, average consumer 200 to 300 times a year, whether it's on television, sporting events, podcasts, streaming platforms. And why this is important to all of you, again, is because your brand, the areas where you have experience as a real estate professional, your listings are showcased on homes.com. So as someone is finding you, we want you to understand, again, how can you take that? What insights from today are valuable that you can use in your day-to-day business? Being in real estate as long as I have, one of the things I know is there's always like the new and shiny thing that's happening, right? Like the new late and great CRM or lead gen or whatever it may be. Sustainability is extremely important to us. So this is not a flash in the pan thing that we hear about today that's going to be gone tomorrow. This is happening. It's happening right now. People you work with in the past, people you currently work with, future clients that you don't even know, people in your pipeline or prospects, they will at one point likely land on homes.com. What are they going to find if they look you up? Even a referral, right? That's one of the things I know most agents, you work off of referrals, or brokers, you work off referrals. If somebody goes online and they look you up, or they look you up on homes.com, what are they going to find there, right? There are certain things that we can control and there are certain things that we can't control. But think of it as like a LinkedIn page for your real estate, because it really gives a great snapshot of who you are as an agent, what your experience looks like. And we are pounding people over the head with homes.com everywhere they turn, and we're going to continue to do that. So that's really the reason that I'm here today. Obviously, SEO, SEM is something that we heavily invest in. Homes for sale in Kent, Washington, or Issaquah, or San Diego, or Orlando, wherever it may be, we're going to continue to invest there. So with that, we're going to take a look at homes.com. We're going to start on the consumer facing side of it. And then we'll take a look at the profiles from the consumer facing side, switch gears, jump into a live demo on, or excuse me, jump into the agent dashboard. Any questions as of right now? These are the easiest groups ever. Any questions online? And we will do a Q&A at the end as well. Everybody's on mute, but oh, jumping all over the place. Okay. Fantastic. Let's, this thing doesn't roll, does it? Okay. It's a slider, not a roller. I got it. Okay. 1, 2. So I heard that the weather just like turned over the last few days. Is that true or?
Yes.
Really nice. Thunderstorms.
My mom blamed it on me. So I'm originally from, I was born and raised in Auburn, Washington, but I live in San Diego now, but all my family is still here. Okay, so as we jump on to homes.com, we're gonna first take a look at, again, the consumer facing side of this, and then we'll shift to the agent facing side or the dashboard. We'll go back to the deck and we'll finish up there. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in at any point. We're gonna do this pretty high level. There's a lot of information. We are gonna provide resources to leadership afterwards that kind of will recap and highlight what's happening. But one of the things, again, I want you guys to keep in mind is this is far from a finished product for us. I was in this very office in December and homes.com looked a lot different then. It's going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to improve as we go through our journey. Okay, so if I go to homes.com, I look up Kent, Washington. It's going to give me, just like any search portal, let me see if I can do this. Okay, just like any search portal, I'm going to see all the filters that I could potentially ever need as a consumer. Price point, bedrooms, bathrooms, the type of home, the listing status, square footage. I can filter between for rent. If I want to look at sold properties, something I can be a good resource as a broker. Excuse me, lot size, the year it was built, parking options, the type of home, listing status, anything and everything you would need, even going into like school ratings, the type of communities, architectural style. So again, like this is constantly evolving and it's getting more and more robust. Things like not outdoor features, but like I saw utilities on here. That's the first time I've seen that. Maybe they just recategorized it, but know that whatever I'm looking for as a consumer, I can really refine that search. And we kind of take it to the next level by adding in these environmental layers. So I can go in, we're using Kent, pretty broad search terms, right? But I can do like a data visualization. I can break it up by neighborhood, schools, commute. I told the story yesterday. I went from Federal Way to Bellevue yesterday in the morning, thinking that an hour would probably be enough time, but I left about 2 hours before my presentation and I got there about 10 minutes before. So it took me an hour and 50 minutes to go, 20 miles. But those things are important to people when it comes to the buying process or the buying decision. But I can also go in and look at things like noise level. I can filter out areas where it's a certain age range, right? Like you can literally get extremely granular with what you're looking for as an individual. And based upon those search results, we're going to see those listings that populate on the left-hand side of the screen. As you roll through these listings, so it's giving us 281 listings right now. You're going to get price point, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, address, a couple sentences on the property, and you're going to see that listing agent. And I know it's really small for a lot of you in here. But you're going to see the listing agent along with the broker before you even go into the actual listing itself. So the listing agent's already being branded right there on the search results page. So Joe's got a couple listings in here. Saw quite a few that were John L. Scott. Nishad has a couple. Saab. Right, so before even going into the listing, we're getting all that data and information already shared with us. Sorry, y'all. That way, as I open up that listing page, We're gonna see photos of the listing. Are you guys, okay, you're not seeing it on the screen, good. It's just on my screen. You're gonna see photos of the listing. The listing agent is showcased front and center, right there on the listing. I think my computer's running slow. One thing that we get questions about a lot is somebody will look at one of their listings and say, hey, this isn't my phone number on here. What that is a tracking number. If I was to call this phone number on here, Joe's phone, what's his name? Kent, excuse me. Kent's phone would ring and he would be getting a call from whatever phone number I'm calling Kent on. Nothing would look different on his side. The difference is because I'm calling on 22106, that's a unique number that identifies that within homes.com. So Kent gets a call from me, nothing changes. If he doesn't answer that call, he would have a missed call from whatever number I call him on. In his back-end dashboard, though, he would have a saved lead that Kellen Love called on Wednesday, August 21st at 10 a.m. saved in his dashboard as a lead. So it's just identifying where that lead is coming from. That way you can understand. And now if Kent goes into his dashboard or he gets an alert because he has the app, this is where this lead generated. Okay. You'll also see highlights on the home about the home section, listing agent. If there's a co-listing agent there, the co-listing agent will also get lead notification as well. Activity, days on market, property details, community details. This is a condo or a townhome. And then you're going to see the neighborhood living right within the actual listing details. So let's say, I don't know, I grew up in Bainbridge Island. I don't know much about Kent other than it's outside of Seattle. Right within the listing details of the property lives the neighborhood. And this is actually not even a neighborhood page. This is pretty unique. I'll come back to it here in a moment, but we'll get kind of a snapshot of a few demographics on that neighborhood. We're going to see schools in the area. I went to Auburn High School, so boo Kent Ridge, but I'm joking. Excuse me, you can open up that high school and get how many students, student to teacher ratio, average GPA, math and proficiency scores, graduation rate, average SAT and ACT scores, ratings from niche, great schools on the staff, college prep, it rates like the food and, gives equity scores, which is a newer one, right? Like, this is information that as real estate professionals, often people are asking you about. And while this isn't the only place this exists, this is literally right within the listing that we're looking at. We can get here. So what we're doing is we're making the accessibility of it very, very simple and easy. In this case, we see Amy here. Amy is a member agent, but we'll come back to that. But it's going to show me school rankings, specialty programs, the colleges the kids go on to, what they go on to study, reviews from parents, right? Like, and this is getting more and more robust all the time. And then we're also going to see a snapshot of agents that have experience selling in this attendant zone. We're going to always have 6 on the page. If you're trying to do the math, whatever agent is shown in that first tile and it rotates around. So Drew would be the next one up. Then Kamal's out of this office, right? They're going to rotate those spots and I can actually open this up and see any agent that has at least one transaction in the last 5 years within the attendant zone for Kent Ridge. So now it's giving me 3,300 agents, over 3,300 agents that have at least one transaction over the last 5 years through the MLS and the attendant zone for Kent Ridge. And I can filter this out. I'm really zoomed in right now, but typically it would kind of be broken down in slots of 3. And because people always ask, the orange agents are member agents. Outside of that, the default is most transactions. So outside of Stephanie here, who's currently in the last tile, Rosie O'Rourke has the most transactions, but I can filter that based upon what I'm looking for. So again, if you have one transaction, buyer side, seller side within an area that feeds the Kent Ridge like attendant zone, you're going to be in there somewhere. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? Okay.
You're gonna go over that later, like how did you become a member?
Yeah, I'm gonna highlight it at the end of the presentation. Great question. Okay, so I'm gonna jump back to the actual listing. So we'll see parks in the area, transit information, area factors, environmental scores, mortgage calculator, all within the listing. Another thing we get a lot of questions on is the estimated property value. So as we did focus groups for homes.com before we relaunched it, one of the big pieces of feedback or controversial elements was around industry tool that rhymes was estimate and how people and how real estate professionals feel about it. So we didn't want to have a homes.com says your home is worth X amount of dollars. So what we did instead is we partnered with Collateral Analytics, ICE, First American, Quantarium. Quantarium is actually a Seattle company. I know one of the guys there. He's great. Or actually one of the CEO. And then we're given an average value of that home over a 1 or 5 year period based upon these four estimations. So what I always say with this is everybody thinks their home is worth more than it is. Like it's something that you deal with as an agent. You're fighting an uphill battle. People are asking, you know, or everybody wants more for their home than they probably should be asking. So whether you think these numbers are high, you think they're low, they're somewhere in between, leverage it to the best of your ability in terms of, you know, these are not taking a lot of factors into consideration. That's why they need to talk to a real estate professional. These are just additional resources that you could potentially use that are there for you. Tax history, price history, similar sold homes, deed history. One cool thing to know as a broker, if you click on deed or mortgage history, it'll actually show you so we're looking at mortgage history, the borrowers, the loan term, interest rate, like all that information is right there available for you. Same thing with the deed history. You can see the last time it sold, who the buyer was, who the seller was, what type of warranty or deed they have, right? As well as similar homes in the area. So a lot of great information right here just within the listing details. I'm going to jump back up to the neighborhood really quickly. If I want to learn more about Kent, I don't know much about Kent. I can go in, and we've been having trouble getting these to play because they need to buffer first, but let's see if we can give it a second. This one is not even moving for us. I'm gonna see if I can come back to it in a moment. Come on. I got an idea. Let's do it like this. Okay, we're gonna open this up and we'll come back to it in a moment. But what we should be seeing here is a video. They're typically about 1.5 to 2 minutes long, diving into the neighborhood and the living experience. What we understand is that when somebody's buying a home, they're not just buying that property, right? They're buying the living experience, being a part of that neighborhood, being a part of that community, shopping at the businesses, going to the restaurants, sending their kids to the schools, going to the parks, right? And that really gives a great overview of what that looks like. With the neighborhoods, one thing to keep in mind is there's a lot of data and a lot of demographics and information here. It's something that we're constantly updating and re-outlining. I think even the last time we were here, there was one video for Kent. Now there's one for East Hill and Meridian and West Hill and Lake Sawyer, right? Like, so these are getting more and more refined. We're adding more information all the time. We can see a city map where it kind of breaks down the actual, so this is a city page. This is a little bit newer. That feeds the neighborhood pages, but we can see a breakdown of the neighborhood. So it's giving us 5 for Kent. We can again see agents with experience selling in this area. That's going to be the same thing, basically, that we saw on the school layout. And there's some more important information we'll share here in a moment. But we'll see those agents there. Then it's going to give us the neighborhoods within Kent, and it'll filter by, you know, the neighborhoods with the least crime, home trends in the area, homes for sale, neighborhoods with the most renters. If we dive into one of these actual neighborhoods, so let's just go into downtown Kent, it gets even more robust. So just like we saw the video that didn't actually load for us, we'll be there. We'll get a couple articles. Sorry, y'all. It's loading really, really slow for me today, of course. Come on. Gotta love technology. When we need it the most, it always doesn't want to work for us. Excuse me. We'll see schools in the area, parks, transit, so kind of the same thing, but at a more granular, so there'll be more information. Crime and safety, demographics on the real estate side. You'll see a property mix. So does this area have more renters or buyers or retail or industrial? Breakdown. So just a lot of great resources and information that again you can use here on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times, as a real estate professional, you'll spend 6 months. I've heard horror stories of almost 2 years working with buyers, right? And there's a lot of factors outside of just the home that can go into that decision. And a lot of times they expect you or you're expected to have this information. And while there's a lot of great resources, this is all putting it in one spot that you can utilize. So you'll even see like socioeconomic information. We know the crime information isn't something that, you're supposed to share, but you can send this over to somebody or they can find it individually. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Let's see if we can get this Kent video. Maybe we just let it play. It'll play for us. It doesn't want to buffer for us. Okay, we'll try to come back. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so also, we want to talk about finding an agent. So I'm going to pull up my friend John by here in a moment. But what I want to talk about is your profiles and why it's important to have certain indicators within your profiles. And then we're going to go to the actual backend dashboard, that holds all the data, your leads, and the ability to edit and add additional information to your profile. But if I'm a consumer and I go in and I say, I'm looking for an agent in Kent, Washington, it's giving me nearly 5,500 agents that have at least one transaction over the last 5 years. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of profiles. That's a lot of people to essentially look through. Where do I start? So they can filter based upon their specific needs. And these indicators are things that some of it that you can control and you can edit that will allow you to kind of stand out from the pack. So the number one thing that people typically search by is actually not sales in the area, but total sales or experience of the agent. Again, these are things that we can't always necessarily control in the moment. But the other thing outside of that they typically use, or the number one filter outside of that, is agent video. So if I just choose somebody who has an agent video, we go from 5,400 down to 182, right? So we eliminate 98% of the agents, maybe 97% of the agents right out the gate just by looking for somebody who has a video. So adding a video to your profile, 100% recommend doing it. It doesn't have to be professionally done. You can literally pop into an office and I see people do it in their car, just 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half, just talking a little bit about your business, why you got into real estate, what you love about real estate, the experience you like to provide with your clients, whatever it is that you want to add on there. And what I will say is, even of these 182 agents, a lot of them don't actually have videos. Let's take a look. Did she do it? She did it correctly. But because they make a mistake, and I'm going to show you how to avoid that mistake as we jump into the dashboard. But the other thing that I want to show you, come on. I hate this thing. It always gives you, when you're on Zoom, you have the controller menu at the top. And when you try to get in there, it gives you all types of problems. Come on. All right. See if there's any questions that popped in. I don't see any. Let me just try to go back to this internet. Nope. Okay.
Hey, Kellen, I actually had a question. My name's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
So I really like homes.com. I got a lead on a recent listing that I was able to refer to a buyer, and I referred this buyer who purchased my listing to another agent, and it was great. But my most recent listing, I tried to run ads through the homes.com, used to be Home Snap, I guess, you know. Um, and the Google portion of my ads would not run. And I ended up having to get a refund actually because they tried to force publish and just couldn't, and it just killed the views, you know, not going through Google. So I was just wondering if that had been resolved or what the deal was.
Yeah, so that's like a legacy product that rolled over from HomeSnap. Do me a favor. I'll give you my email and I want you to email me and I can look into it and figure out what's going on there. I know that they still offer it. We don't like publicly kind of put it out there, but I don't know what the capacity on it. So I'll pop my email in
So
here. Go
in
ahead.
the future, if I want to run ads, do I just do it through homes.com? I mean, because it like the email, I get emails, right? Like, hey, your
Yeah.
automatic ad thing is going out.
Yeah. Yeah, so I believe you can do it through your dashboard. Again, it's not something that a ton of people do, so I'm not 100% sure where the particulars are on it right now, but we can definitely look into that and I'll get you taken care of.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can
I
just
get
email, it's klove@costar.com.
Love at CoStar. Cool. Thank you so much.
You know, say, hey, I mentioned the ads in the meeting and I'll reach out and we'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so having that video in the profile, definitely something that, you know, we want to make sure that adding that video, it goes a really, really long ways, super easy differentiator. The other thing I would say is these specializations. So if we add first-time home buyers, it takes us from 5,400 to 782. Even adding, if you speak multiple languages, adding those, but even just adding that you speak English, right? Like these things come into play because they're identifiers that consumers, if they add them, you want to give yourself as many opportunities as possible to not be eliminated from the search results. So in that, identifying these things in your dashboard or adding them to your profile goes a really, really long ways. If we do first-time home buyers and video, you know, now we're down to 61, right? So we're literally at, you know, 1% of the agents have those things identified. So these are really simple things that you can do, you can take advantage of. And this is now a much more manageable search on my part. Maybe I want to pick 5 agents from here and look into them a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to use the example of my good friend John just because I know he won't get mad that I go into his dashboard. So as we take a look at John's profile, again, we're looking at it from the consumer perspective. We're going to see photos of John, or see a photo. We're going to see up to 54 tiles that will be shown here that are a collection of sold transactions and any listings that the agent may have. You have ability to essentially kind of control the order of what is shown here. But this is tracking back 5 years of transactional history. We're going to see the total sales within that time frame, total value, price ranges, average price point, the bio. One thing I talked about yesterday is using AI to create like an SEM or SEO friendly bio. So maybe putting something together and then using whatever AI model you use to make it easier to find in Google searches, social media links, the years of experience, the type of properties you sell. We can get a closer look at the transactional history of the agent over a 1, 2, or 5 year period. We're going to see the 6 neighborhoods where the agent has the most experience over the last 5 years. And then we can kind of get a detailed, closer look at the individual transactions. So I can look at any active listings that agent broker may have. I can also look at sold transactions. Maybe I want to see, you know, I'm buying, so I want to see where John's done buyer deals over the last year, right? And I can actually go and see homes that he represented the buyer on. So again, these are things that people will find as they find your profile on homes.com. Also, any active listings are going to be at the bottom of the screen there. So again, really, really simple, important that you understand what is online and what your branding looks like. And if somebody finds you, whether it's through they're looking for an agent in a certain school district or a certain neighborhood, or they find your listing, or they're doing just a directory search, how can you control what you can control? We looked at two profiles when we were in Bellevue yesterday. One of them was a member agent. When we opened up his profile, his headshot was extremely blurry, right? I don't know if he knows that, if he does know it, but that's something that like he's paying for a service even that needs to be updated. Another agent in Mukilteo, I believe it was, doesn't have a phone number or a photo because she never claimed her profile, but she has a listing, right? So if I wanted to reach out to that agent, I can't even find her through that listing if I find that listing, and we don't want those things to happen to any of y'all. Okay, so let's take a look at this from the agent perspective. I talked about when you're working with buyers. I want to run through this really quickly because I'm taking more time than I expected. But when you're working with a buyer, regardless of how you're sharing properties with them, the John L. Scott app, the MLS, you send Zillow links, whatever you do, we know that they go online and search for homes on their own. Everybody does it. Use the example. My wife probably sent me 500 homes. She was constantly sending me properties when we bought a home. And knowing that they go online one way or another, what we don't know is what do they do when they're on these portals? What are they searching for? Do they send properties to their co-shopper? What are they favoriting? Are they ever hitting the contact an agent button or set up a tour button? There's no way of fully knowing that. On homes.com, we allow you to actually understand that by connecting with your buyers. So what I did in this case is I actually connected with John. It's for the demo, so I force connected, but you can actually reach out to your clients or request that they connect with you on homes.com. So I'm now connected with John as my buyer. When I go back to Kent and I look at a property, we know Jim Clifford is the listing agent here. When I open up the listing, instead of seeing Jim there, I now see John because I've identified that he's my agent. If I have a question, I want to know more about this property. I want to know, when the last time this moss was taken off the roof, right? Like I should be reaching out to John so he can either reach out to the listing agent or he can get that information for me. Jim's information is still shown here. He is a listing agent, but we want to respect the relationship of somebody identifying, hey, I'm working with this agent. Same thing with the neighborhood. So if I go in to learn more about West Hill and I'm connected with John, what now happens as it loads, sorry, y'all, the internet needs to run around the block a few times for me to warm up. All right, I'm gonna see John instead of one of those or one of the agents that would be showcased in that spot typically. Okay, I'll still see agents with experience, but I should be reaching out to John. And once I'm connected with him, this is no longer a tracking number. This is whatever number you have saved in the system because I'm not a lead at that point, right? I've identified that he's my agent. On the flip side, when we take a look at John's dashboard and you go under the client tab, we're going to see myself. I also have the ability to add a co-shopper. So if I want to connect with my wife, I would connect with her on a consumer account. And when we connect and either her or I connect with John, he's connected with both of us and he can see what I'm doing. He can see what she's doing. So when he opens it up, he can see that I'm very active on homes.com. He can see my search activity. Any homes that I've looked at least 5 times are going to show up as high interest. Makes it a little easier to see it here. The medium interest homes are homes I've looked at least 3 times. And he can kind of get a breakdown. I apologize, y'all. It's not loaded for me. But he can see how I'm spending my time on homes.com. And if I'm telling John, hey, I only want to live in Federal Way, right? I only want to be, or Des Moines. Let's say I only want to live in Des Moines. It's the only place I'm interested in buying a home. But I'm looking at a handful of homes in West Seattle, right? Like, why am I looking at 3 or 4 homes in West Seattle time and time again if I only want to live in Des Moines, right? So you can now see that and get that insight and be able to kind of leverage that to your ability and say, hey, I know you're saying Des Moines, we're having trouble finding something. Let's take a look at West Seattle. You can also see what I'm favoriting, or if I'm connected with the co-shopper, what she's favoriting, whether it's properties, it's photos, it's neighborhoods, it's schools. You're able to get that insight on how I'm spending my time on homes.com. Again, so sorry Doesn't want to load for me. Let me drop a few of these. Come on. Okay. Schools that I'm favoring, buildings, agents. Hopefully I'm not favoriting other agents, but you get the idea. You can also create saved searches, very similar to what you would typically do through the MLS, where you go in, you identify my particular filter. So set my price point and the search criteria and save that. And once you do that, I'll get automatic updates based upon that criteria. So new homes hitting the market, price changes, open houses, home selling, whatever you'd like to do, you can save all that and I'll just automatically get updated based upon that. You can also just choose a few individual homes. So in the case where I'm looking in Seattle, but I only want to live in Des Moines, if John wanted to send me a few homes that he felt were a good fit, he can essentially create a list, go in, choose those homes, go to recommend them out, add any notes that he wants to add on those properties, and then send them over to me and we can fully collaborate on those properties. I can give them a thumbs up. I can give them a thumbs down. I can, send notes back and forth. So fully collaborate with me as a client and just kind of leverage, if I'm spending time on homes.com, that to the best of your ability. And again, the thing to keep in mind is even if you don't have a client to your knowledge that is using homes.com at this time, because we're so highly invested in driving traffic to the site and we're going to be for the next several years, we're going to spend several $billions over the next few years to really grow homes.com into the place that people go to find a home. And we're going to continue to innovate and add features like this. And just to touch on it, if I already have it, everything that we've covered so far, these are all free tools. These are not, none of this is paid. Everybody has access to this as an agent. The one thing I'll say about the client collaboration is even if you don't want to use the collaborative tools, you don't want to send properties and do those things, the upside is really inviting your clients, even if it's just a handful of them, people who are prospects in your pipeline. Because if you send an invite to somebody and they accept that invite, and let's say they come to homes.com 5 years from now, when they come there, no matter where they look, whatever neighborhood, whatever home, whatever building page they land on, school page, they're going to see you front and center, and it keeps you top of mind. And just like we mentioned, right, regardless of how you're sharing those properties, there's more to gain than there is to lose by being connected with them. So definitely 100% suggest that. You can also invite someone very simply, pop in their name, pop in an email, whatever you want to add, any notes. Oh, goodness, come on. Sorry, y'all. I have like a sub menu here and it doesn't want to move out the way. You hit the add another client button. Sorry, I had to move it again. Add another client, and you can add like 10 people at once and just send them all out at once. Once you send it, they'll be under the sent invite tab. And if you need to resend it, you need to withdraw it, whatever it is, you can do it at that point. And once they accept it, they'll be under the client tab. A question we get a lot is, what if they're connected to multiple agents? They can't do that. They can only be connected to one agent at a time. You can break up with each other whenever you need to, but they're only going to be connected to one client at a time. If you send somebody an invitation and they're already connected with somebody else, it'll let you know. You also have data on your listing, so how your listings are performing, how many views, favorites, shares that they have on homes.com. Click on the analytics button, any leads that are coming from them. You get a breakdown of where those views are coming from, how they're coming in. Same thing with your profile too. Click on analytics so you can kind of see where your views are coming from individually, all together, as it loads for us. And you can also see agents that look at your listing or your profile. So there's a who viewed section at the bottom of the analytics page for both your profile and your listings. Okay. Last thing I'm going to cover in here is, there's also on the leads dashboard, you can manage your leads, see what's in there. excuse me, set status on the leads. And you can import them to a dashboard or to a CRM if you use a CRM, which I'm going to show you here in a moment. If you go to the edit agent profile section, right here at the bottom, one thing is you cannot change your name. It's whatever is pulling from your license. So if John went by Jonathan, but his license says John, it's whatever is coming from your license. If you need to change it, let us know. As long as it's within reason, we can change it out for you, but it is going to pull what's on your license. Adding the video, which is really, really important. You do have to upload it through YouTube first. Very simple, easy to do. Once you do that, take the actual link from the individual video. Don't put your entire YouTube channel in here, because if you do, it'll say that you have a video, but it won't pull the entire channel. It only wants to pull one video. There's a spot to add your YouTube channel if you have one. But obviously languages, your description, your bio, agent website, listings, social media right here. There's a YouTube channel page. But again, if you're going to put a video, definitely get the individual link for that video. How long you've been working in real estate. We talked about languages, any specializations, very, very important. I would have all these turned on, because if somebody reaches out about a short sale or, property manager or something you can't do, can always turn into a referral for you. And then also notification preferences. You can turn any that you want on. You can choose where you want those calls to come into. So you can change your back end phone number, your lead management, where you want leads to go to. If you use a CRM that uses an email parser, you can plug that in right there. And then you can also add, you can also change or see a layout. I was thinking of two things at once on your actual tracking number. So this is where you can see what number is going to show up on your profile versus your listings. All your listings will have different numbers that, again, just identify where that lead is coming from. And so I'm trying to speed up and want to make sure that I covered everything there. The other thing that you have the ability to do that we didn't cover is your customization of your gallery. So if you want to sort it by where your highest price transactions show up first, or your newest, or however you want it sorted, you can actually do that through your gallery. It says listings, and it has listings and closed transactions, but we were looking at John's profile. There was a picture, and then there was the past deals. You can kind of change the order of that right there or customize it. The last thing I'm going to show you here before we move on and quickly finish. Apologies, I'm running longer. When you're going in and you're looking at something as an agent, you're signed in. If you want to create, we'll just go to Tacoma because it's in there. If you want to create a CMA, there are 3 dots under the photo of the listing. I think my internet is just getting slower on me for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't like me. Come on. Let's try this one. See if it's going to work any faster.
Question, with the CRM, you said that you can integrate your CRM to your lead, so like when someone does.
Yeah.
Is that your profile or like?
Yeah, so any leads that come in, so whether they're from the profile or coming from a listing, you can have it funnel in as long as that CRM has an email parser. It's typically within the settings of your CRM. You can find that and you just plug in that email under the settings there, and it will forward anything over straight into your CRM. And the question was, if you leads that are coming in, if you're setting up your CRM to have them funnel in, whether it was listing leads or strictly from the profile, but regardless of where that lead comes from, you have the ability to do that. So when you're looking at homes.com as signed in with an agent profile, if you want to create a CMA, you have the ability to do that. I'm so sorry, guys. It's not loading very fast for me, but you literally click on create CMA. And then from there, it'll automatically upload the property that you're creating the CMA on. You can add additional properties and then comps. Very simple, easy to do. Takes about, just depending on how many properties you want to add, a minute or two to be able to create a CMA, send it directly over to the person you're creating it for. If you're in the field, you want to do driving directions, same thing. Those three little dots underneath, vertical dots underneath the actual listing, as it doesn't want to load for me again. Couple other things I'll hit on, and then I'm gonna jump back and finish up. We've integrated a few of the tools back. So the actual home snap tool or home picture tool. So when you're out in the field and you want to get information on a home, you can pull out your camera in the app and take a picture of the home, and it'll give you the MLS information. Walk the property lines or the virtual property lines, same thing. You pull out your camera, you stand in front of the home, it'll actually show you where those property lines are. It's not 1000% accurate, but it's pretty accurate. The other thing that we also recently brought back, walk the property lines, is the ability when you're also out in the field, if you're on the app, you can pin your location and it'll show you the surrounding other listings in the area. You can do the driving directions directly there. So tougher to show here on a slide presentation or a computer presentation, but the app definitely would suggest downloading it. There's a lot of great features that we began bringing back or integrating, and there's more that will come with time. Okay, big finish. I'm gonna do this really quickly. So last thing I want to cover is the membership. So the membership is definitely not focused on lead generation per se. Leads are a byproduct of this, more people reaching out to you. But the idea is to take your branding and leverage that branding and leverage your listings to stand out more from the crowd. So more traditional marketing where you're getting quite a bit more exposure. Member agents get about 50 times more exposure on average than non-member agents, both for their listings and for their branding. And really the member agents that are taking the most advantage of this are really using this on their listing presentations to show, hey, outside of putting the home on social media and the MLS and everything else that, you know, kind of is a standard thing, I'm going to get your home the best exposure possible on, you know, the fastest growing residential real estate portal. So any listing that you get, doesn't matter where it is, it's going to shoot to the top of the search results. If there's multiple listings there, they rotate just like the profiles, right? So you'll get the equal amount of shares in spot. Let's say there are 3 in a given zip code or city. Everybody will be in the first, second, and third spot equal amount of times, but always above non-member listings. And because of that, it's seen more, you're getting more favorites, it's shared more, you're generating more opportunities, not only for the listing, but also for your branding, because you're standing out a lot more. Think of it like a billboard that anytime somebody comes to that zip code or that neighborhood, they have to drive past you and your listing and your brand, because member agent listings have a photo and they have a phone number versus non-member agent listings. It's the name and the brokerage. We're also running paid ads across the internet for those listings. So somebody who comes to homes.com, they see it, they're retargeted with it. It's like the pair of sneakers or jewelry or perfume that follows you across the internet. We do the same thing for your listings and also for your profile too. Just to keep you top of mind. You're also going to be showcased on neighborhood pages where you have experience and any of the school pages that you have experience in over the last 5 years within the attendance zone. And you're also getting same thing with buildings too. So if you have experience selling in a building, you're going to be showcased on that building page. One of the things we didn't take a look at, but definitely worth taking a look at. We'll run those retargeting ads just like we do for your listings with your profile. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but the idea is because member agent listings get X amount more views on average, creating reports for your clients to really show them, hey, this is the steps I'm taking. I'm invested in getting your home sold and getting your home the best exposure possible. And you can do this even as a non-member agent. You can go in and you can create a report to show them how many times their home has been seen, favorited, shared on homes.com. But really that is something that as a member agent, because it's seen that much more, you should be absolutely taking advantage of. You can see what sites it's being retargeted on. And then Matterport is now a part of the homes.com membership. So there's no additional charge to whatever your investment is. But you're able to schedule a Matterport 3D virtual tour shoot for your listing as part of the membership. So you get the virtual tour and 3D floor plans at no additional cost. Matterport is going to become a CoStar technology. We're in the process of acquiring it at this point. So you'll have the ability to do those for your listings. Just one more tool that you can kind of advantage that you can to offer to clients and help get their home sold quicker. I'm not going to play the video just for sake of time. The one thing I will say about the membership is because we're taking a completely different approach than everyone else, right? Like we're not sending you leads because somebody said, hey, I want to buy a home in 98002 or wherever it is. They're finding you and they're saying, hey, I want more information about this home. I want more information about working with you to get my home sold. Big thing that we see was sellers, because member agents, their listings stand out. So as people go and look at the market and they're thinking about listing their home, they'll get called from somebody saying, hey, I see you're selling Bob and Linda's home. I want to talk to you about selling my home. It's really making it kind of work for you. Leads are, again, a byproduct of it, but the thing to take into consideration, and I'll kind of wrap up with, is the membership it takes 3 years of transactional history, and it's on like a sliding scale as far as the price. I see people who pay $150 a month, up to people who pay tens of thousands of dollars every month because they have 150 agents and they're the primary listing agent on every single one of those. And they get literally tens of millions of views every single month because they have a couple hundred listings at any given time and they pay tens of thousands of dollars. So the way to think about it is, if you are an agent that, say John, he has 450 transactions over the last 5 years. If he's a member agent, he's going to be on hundreds of school pages, hundreds of neighborhood pages. We're running hundreds of retargeting ads for both listings and his profile. The investment is larger because you're getting more marketing, you're getting more exposure. There's more cost because we're running paid ads for you. Everybody has an account rep, and we will definitely reach out to you in the next week or so. If you have more interest on that, you can definitely just let us know or let them know. They can dive deeper into it, but I just want to give a high level overview to everybody today. A couple things just to wrap up with. Sign into your account. If you want to download the app, I would definitely suggest it. Go into your profile. Make sure you add any of your specializations. Absolutely consider adding a video. I can't stress that enough. Invite your clients. Even if you don't want to do the collaboration, invite them so that if they end up on homes.com at some point, they see you on every listing, they see you on every neighborhood page, every school page. There's just so much value there. And then again, your account manager that's assigned to your account will reach out to you in the next couple week or so. And if you have more questions or anything, you can definitely let them know then. Last thing, I'll throw up the support information, but we'll send this over to leadership so that everybody has it. Thank you so much for your time today. I apologize for the technical issues, but it happens, and I appreciate your patience. Any questions before we wrap up? Any questions online? All right, you guys were a gem. I don't know, how many people we got here? 1, 2, 3. All right, I got you. I'm just gonna give everybody a gift card that's here today. We'll figure something out for the folks online. Let me see who we got here. Amanda, Jim. And I think we still got 4 people.
Kevin, I have a question.
Yeah, of course. Shoot.
So is there other materials in terms to learn what you just showed us? I mean, how would so I could take it at a slower pace and make sure I understand it completely?
Great question. And it's a lot of information, right? And
Correct.
I want to give as like high level of an overview as possible while still hitting on kind of like, the things that are unique and you can take advantage of. We have learning materials that I'm going to send out. We have like agent how-to videos that walk through a lot of the things that we covered today. So I'm going to send all those out probably end of week. I'm back in the office on Friday. I'm moving around quite a bit through the Northwest this week. I'll share those with Eric and Tyler and everyone, and we'll get those over to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today. Everybody have a fantastic day and we'll see you again soon.